Good morning, everyone. Name is Mark Ernavage. I'm the chairman of the SAE Metropolitan section, and I would like to welcome you to our third brown bag lunch. Today, our brown bag will discuss Smart Charge New York, and we have Sherry Logan, the EV program manager from Con Edison, here to discuss how they're working that out for us. Appreciate everyone joining us with the weather today. And if you have any questions, please put them into our Q&A chat.
Okay, Mark, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And I'm Sherry Logan, EV Program Manager for Con Ed. I've been with Con Edison now for almost 20 years. My 20th anniversary is coming up next summer. So I've been with the company for a while. I've been in the role of EV Program Manager since 2011, and prior to that I came to the company doing EH&S support for Con Ed's transportation group. So I've been in transportation for a while. So I'm going to start up today giving you an overview of Con Ed. I'm assuming most of you know about Con Ed, but I'll for those of you who might not be a New Yorker, I'll give that overview, and then discuss our Smart Charge New York program using the Fleet Karma Geotab connected car device, and then also tell you about our Smart Charge New York Honda Clarity program. So Con Ed is an investor-owned utility. We provide gas, steam, and electric service to the 10 million people who live in the and work in the 5 boroughs of New York City and Westchester County, encompass about 604 square miles. And we operate one of the largest and most complex and reliable electric distribution systems in the world, serving 3.4 million electric customers. And to date, we have about 17,000 electric vehicles registered in our service territory in the 5 boroughs of New York City and Westchester. And that number is growing. And I'm happy to report that we took a real hit with COVID, but it looks like we're bouncing back. I don't know how many people are buying other vehicles, but EVs are doing really well in our service territory, especially Teslas. And I think, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure what, that it looks like a lot of people who never used to own a vehicle in our service territory are going out and buying it because people are reluctant to take public transportation, and I think they're making the decision to buy an electric vehicle versus an internal combustion engine vehicle. So Smart Charge New York was launched in April 2017, and it's a program that rewards electric vehicle owners who charge in the Con Edison service territory with off-the-bill incentives for charging during off-peak hours, and we use a variety of technology. This program was originally funded through ratepayer dollars through the 2017 Con Edison rate case. It's funded with $6 million over 3 years, and it was just reauthorized under the 2020 rate case with $13.3 million. So we're funded through the end of 2022. So we use a variety of technology to monitor electric vehicle charging under this program. The primary way we do this is with the Fleet Karma Geotab connected car device. So Fleet Karma is a subsidiary of Geotab. I imagine most of you know, I've heard of Geotab. Geotab is the largest telematics company in the world now. And they acquired Fleet Karma a couple of years ago. So we use their technology to as of right now, to monitor light-duty vehicles. But they have a technology, the Go9 device, that is incorporated in many fleet vehicles, and starting also in electric medium and heavy duty vehicles. But right now we use it for the light duty vehicles. We also use onboard telematics to monitor charging behavior. We're doing that with the New York City transit buses, MTA, and with the Honda Clarity. And we could also use smart, connected charging stations, and the New York City fleet, the largest electric fleet in the country, is enrolled in the program, and we use their charge point stations, as well as there's several nonprofits that have the Mitsubishi Fuso Canter trucks, and they're enrolled. New York City Transit also uses sub-metering data, uses a combination of onboard telematics as well as the sub-metering. So Smart Charge New York uses this, what they call the C2 connected car device. Is up on the screen is a photo of this device. This device plugs into the onboard diagnostic port of the vehicle and collects charging data, where, when, and how much charge. And based on that information, we pay incentives. Now, some vehicles, such as the Tesla, don't have OBD2 ports, and this device is connected to the car with an adapter cable that connects to the proprietary diagnostic connector of the Tesla. So to get started, the program, an EV owner would simply go to our application site, apply. The only criteria for being eligible to enroll in the program is to charge in our service territory. Don't even have to be a Con Ed customer. So we have a simple tool. You enter your zip code where you charge your EV. And if you put in a zip code within the 5 boroughs in New York City and Westchester, with the exception of a few zip codes, it's going to say you're eligible. There's an application for privately owned vehicles, and then for commercial fleet vehicles. We send the EV owner a free connected device. They activate it, and they simply start charging in our service territory and earn rewards. On the website, it has a calculator. So if you put in your make and model and you enter the number of electric miles driven per week, and you answer a few questions as to what your behavior would be, it'll spit out an answer as how much over and above the $150 that you get when you join the program. And what we have found is that some of the highest earners, which are usually Tesla owners with large batteries, could earn over 1,000, we say up to, but there are some that are earning over $1,000 a year on the program because they do so much off-peak charging. I would say the average BEV owner, battery electric vehicle earns about $500 a year on the program, while a PHEV, plug-in hybrid electric vehicle owner earns about maybe $350 a year on the program. So it's definitely an amount that helps with offset the higher cost of purchasing electric vehicle, and offset Con Ed's high electric rates. So it's a program that helps lower the overall cost of owning an electric vehicle, and helps with the Con Ed grid by encouraging EV owners to charge during times of the day when the demand is the lowest. For the utility point of view, is it EVs are good for the electric grid as long as we don't have to do a lot of upgrades. So if we could get electric vehicle owners to charge during times when demand is low, then revenue comes in without having to reinforce the grid. So in terms of our incentives, the electric vehicle owners get $150 when they enroll after their first charge session within the Con Edison service territory. They earn $5 a month for every, as long as they have at least one charge session in the Con Edison service territory. In the summer months, they could earn an additional $20 per month if they avoid what we call summer peak charging. That's weekdays 2 to 6, June 1st through September 30th. And that is really our system peak. That's the time of the day when we really don't want any extra load on our distribution system. And then where the big money comes in is the 10 cents per kilowatt hour for off-peak charging. So all the charging between midnight and 8 a.m., all days year-round, EV owners will earn that 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So for most EV drivers, it's easy to do delayed charging. The vehicles have the ability to program with the app for delayed charging. Nobody has to get up at midnight to plug their electric vehicle in. If the vehicle is charging off of a smart charging station, a connected charging station, then they could simply just program the charging stations to do delayed charging. And that's typically what a fleet would be doing. And we also have a Refer a Friend program. If they apply with a referral code, the EV owner gets $25, and they could also earn $25 for every friend that they refer to the program. So there are some alternative incentives. Those Con Ed customers who are on the residential time of use rate, we have an alternative pricing where instead of 10 cents, they're only getting 1.66 cents, but they earn additional $10 a month for avoiding non-summer peak charging. That's October through May. And there's also alternative incentives for medium and heavy duty vehicles. These incentives align better with our large business rates. So instead of getting the 10 cents per kilowatt hour, they get 2.2 cents per kilowatt hour for off-peak charging. But the big money comes in with a $250 per vehicle per month incentive for avoiding what we call the commercial system relief program event period. That's a 4-hour period based on the network that the charging station is located. It could be 2 to 6 in some networks. It could be 11 to 3 in the afternoon. So depending on where the charging station is, but that, that equals, if they could avoid a 4-hour window in a summertime, the vehicles could earn up to $1,000 for the summer between the 4 summer months. So, the way it works, we have Fleet Karma has our service territory geofenced by grid. In the future, we might even be able to have incentives that are specifically correlated with the network peaks versus system peaks. But that's how it works, where we only pay incentives for that charging that's within our service territory. The EV owners get access to an online dashboard, that provides them with information on their charging behavior, with their energy consumption, their battery state of health, greenhouse gas savings and emissions, their driving efficiency, and they could even download their trip data. And there's on the portal, it summarizes how much every month they earn with the Smart Charge rewards. And these rewards are not bill credits. Often there's a confusion that they join the program and then they come to us and say, I don't see any credit on my bill. When am I going to get my rewards? The rewards are sent out via PayPal. So there's a direct deposit into PayPal account. So the email that they use to join the program needs to be linked to the PayPal account, and they get their rewards paid out every month. And then for those EV owners who do not want to use PayPal, there is an Amazon gift code option. So once a year, they'll get an Amazon promo code for all their charging in the previous year in the month of February. And so most, like 98%, 97% of our participants choose the PayPal option. And for fleets, Con Ed will issue a check or do electronic payment. They don't have to get paid out in PayPal or Amazon. There's also some gamification, try to make it fun. They could earn these badges, the Ultra Peak Streaker, Tree Planter, Top Off Peak Charger, and they can share and brag about, getting these badges, and to share, that the fact that they're in the program through social media. They also are able to share a special unique link, and if they share that and somebody joins with that link, it will automatically populate their referral code, and they'll get their $25 for referring a friend. So as of right now, there's about over 2,300 EVs currently enrolled in the program. That's about 14% of all registered vehicles in the Con Edison service territory. Fleet Karma is able to support 37 makes and models, of which 34 are represented in the program. Almost 60% of our enrolled vehicles are Teslas. I guess that's no surprise that it's the most popular electric vehicle, at least in our area. And what's happening, actually, we have over 200 Tesla Model Ys that are now on the wait list, as well as a handful of 2001 Tesla Model S's, X's, and Model 3s. Fleet Karma, is able to support most of the vehicles, but when there's a new vehicle comes out, they'd have to do a lot of testing, and there could be like a 6-month to 9-month delay to enroll new makes and models. With the Tesla Model Y, it's very similar to the Model 3, but the connector's slightly different, so they needed to fabricate a new adapter cable, and that's with COVID and supply chains. It's it made things a little difficult, and we're still waiting on that adapter cable. And then there are a bunch of makes and models, particularly the BMWs, that Fleet Karma has difficulty supporting. Some OEMs make it very difficult to access the OBD, the information from the OBD2 port. That includes Honda. So there are some other makes and models that are currently on the wait list. This is the enrollment mix right now. Again, over 60% or almost 60% are Teslas, followed by the Prius Prime, the Nissan Leaf, the Volt, and then other makes and models. We have very high customer satisfaction. In fact, we just did a survey and got the results back a few weeks ago. 79% of all the participants, all 2,300 participants, participate in the survey, which is like, when you do surveys, that's like really unheard of to have so many participants. We do pay them $25 to take the survey, so that helps. But 91% are satisfied, with the program, and we recommend the program to other EV owners. So if you go onto our website, you'll see a lot of testimonial videos about how happy people are with the program. I did mention that Fleet Karma can support some programs, and some OEMs make it very difficult to access the data. Honda's one of them. So we've partnered with Honda to enroll Honda Clarities into the program. We pay the incentives just the same off the bill rewards, and the data is automatically collected through the vehicle's onboard cellular network. And we have about a little over 80 Honda Clarities currently enrolled. We did run a 3-month pilot with them last October. We had 86 enrolled. Unfortunately, we weren't able to continue the program immediately after the pilot, and then COVID hit. So not all the participants came back to the program, but we got a few new ones. And so it's been so far it's been a good experience. We're working with the OEMs, potentially using, I don't know if anybody's heard of OVGIP, the Open Vehicle Grid Integration Platform. There are 4 OEMs, BMW, Ford, Honda, and GM, that are very active with this OVGIP, and we're looking to use this cloud platform and use of their apps to enroll the vehicles in the program without the device, using the onboard telematics. So we're hoping to start a program with the OEMs, including Honda, next year. And this is a postcard that Honda sent out to all Honda Clarity owners in our service territory to help promote the program. This is a screenshot of the utility dashboard, one of the dashboards that Fleet Karma provides us, showing all the data from all the Smart Charge New York participants. And this is a load curve, so you could clearly see that our off-peak charging incentive at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, really works. That the vast majority of our participants are starting to charge after midnight. This is another few screenshots of the dashboard. I just thought it was interesting to see the effect that COVID had on vehicle travel, and and of course EVs are no different than any other vehicle. So the average miles traveled and the average monthly energy consumption went way down in April. But the good news is it is coming back. People are driving more, and driving differently, not necessarily driving to work, but people are back on the roads. This just shows some of the advantages of the Smart Charge methodology over the use of time of use rates. It gives Con Ed much more flexibility. We're able to reward, when we could do rewards without having a program, without having to do a rate filing. So we could modify and adjust the rewards anytime we want, not just every 3 years when we file a new, when we have a new filing. There's no cost to the EV owner for hiring an electrician to put in a separate second meter. You know, some people want to go on the time of use rate and have a dedicated meter for their EV, but you know, they're going to be paying like $1,000 to get the electrician to put in that second meter pan. And then there's no second monthly customer charge by having a dedicated meter. No need for subtractive billing. Con Ed's billing system is a little antiquated. It's not going to be updated until 2023. So we're not able to do any kind of subtractive billing, you know, with, you know, sub-metering. And there's no need to shift other household electric load. You know, some people want to go on, we have a whole house time of use rate, even with a 1-year price guarantee, but not everybody's able to shift that household load. So this allows people to lower their cost of fueling their vehicle without having to change, you know, household load habits. Customer engagement, we have many more enrollments into the Smart Charge program than we have on the time of use rate. On the time of use rate, we have a few hundred, and that rate's been in place since, even with the 1-year price guarantee, since 2014. So people are much more likely to join this program. You know, the dashboard helps with customer education. The customer gets a lot more data, and you know, it does perfectly align with our time of use rate. So over 70% of our time of use customers that have an EV also join Smart Charge New York. And you know, most importantly, it's the incentives are not limited to load management of the home. You know, EV is mobile load, so wherever they charge, those incentives you know, follow them. And you know, not limited to Con Ed account holders. You know, if you're a NIPA account holder, you know, like the MTA and I believe Port Authority, you're not a Con Ed customer. You're, I believe, NIPA. You could still enroll in the program even if you don't have a Con Ed account. And there's also more potential for targeted incentives. We could, in the future, do incentives based on network versus system peak. So that's what I have. Hopefully there's questions
Thank you
interest.
for your presentation, Sherry. Today we have Stephen Lockwood to help lead some discussion here with some questions. And please, anybody, if you feel free to either send in a question through the Q&A, or if you like, you can unmute yourself to add to the discussion. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not an automotive engineer or systems guy. I'm really a transportation policy person. So I'm a lot of my interest is in kind of how this program fits into long-term objectives with regard to energy management, emissions control, and so on. And I guess you might say that, correct me if I'm wrong, Sherry, but in some respects, the genius of the program, you might say, is substituting the onboard device for the costs and complexity associated with metering at the point of charging. Is that right?
Correct. It doesn't require anybody to invest in a high-tech connected charging station, and we're still able to get the data. So
I mean, I think that's very clever. And the question that I pose, the question that interests me most is, this is the smart charging program, if I understand it correctly, is really sort of like a study to reveal a lot of information about both power demands over time and use of the vehicles, so on. But how does it? I'm not clear on how this translates into a long-term permanent program. In other words, is this time limited? Is this going to stop? This program going to end in 2 years or 3 years, or how does it?
Yeah.
How does it? What happens in the long term?
Well, right now, I have to say the program is fairly expensive in terms of getting the data using the connected car device. We have the logistics of mailing device, and then the device. There's a good percentage. I would say right now about 30% of the people don't install it, and so Con Ed incurs a cost to that. But I think that the future, if we're able to lower the per vehicle acquisition cost, I think that this idea of monitoring charging behavior and in the future controlling charging behavior with onboard telematics through OVGIP, it could be less expensive than expecting everybody to be putting in smart charging stations, connected charging stations. There is the ability of controlling the charging right from the vehicle. So, we're working to lower that per vehicle acquisition cost so that we can get funding for the program and continue this type of approach. Con Ed is very reluctant to have what we call like appliance specific rates. We don't like to use our rates as a way to lower the cost of providing the electricity. This kind of approach where it's off the bill, where it really rewards the person who's making the decisions as to when to charge versus the person who's paying the bill. In many cases, and the flexibility of not associating it with our tariffs and our rates. I think that there is a future for this program, but we do need to find ways to lower the cost, and that's why we're working with the OEMs on trying to use the telematics, not the device. And even Fleet Carma, they're working with us on, potentially on a pilot next year, looking at ways to use the Tesla APIs to manage the charging without having the device. So if we could figure out a way not to use the device, I think we definitely have a program that could work into the future.
So it's moving you might say the smartness, moving the functionality out of the infrastructure into the vehicle, in effect, so that someday every vehicle might come equipped with something like the device that you're using, the OBD plug-in device that you're using.
Yeah.
And so utilities like Con Ed, none of them would have to worry so much about the metering issue for vehicles, whether it's at the at home or at work or at other locations. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's a role for both. I think that in many cases, maybe with a fleet, it's better to manage the program with a charging station. But at an individual homeowner level, using the onboard telematics and you know, all the new vehicles do come equipped with the ability, with the telematics. It's, you know, it's only maybe the, you know, the very old EVs, you know, back in 2012 and stuff that didn't have this capability. But all the new vehicles have the capability. It's a matter of the utilities and the OEMs working together to, you know, the automotive manufacturers to come up with a common platform, because the last thing we want to do is, you know, have each utility you know, have to negotiate a program with each manufacturer. You know, that becomes, you know, crazy, you know, to do that. But if there's this open vehicle grid integration platform where many of the OEMs come together, and it makes it very easy for a utility partner to sign up, then it, you know, becomes seamless. Like, you could have people going, you know, buying an electric vehicle, you know, at a dealership, and, you know, one of the things that, you know, they're asked, you know, what's your electric, who do you have servicing your electric, you know, who's your utility? And, you know, Con Ed. Oh, okay, Con Ed has this program here, you know, on this app. You could sign up straight, you know, from on your car app for the program, and you just, you know, at the point of sale, they could be signing up, and then you know, get their rewards, you know, right from day one, rather than Con Ed having to find, you know, and recruit the EV owner, you know, after the fact, after they already own it.
So that strikes me that that the value of the program in the long run anyway depends in part on the overall industry of OEMs getting together on common standards, and then among themselves, and then working with the utilities to make this thing work, you know, sort of seamlessly,
Yeah, I mean,
nationally, kind of like
right.
you know, like toll tags and so on over a period of, you know, 15 years. The other thing that,
Yeah, and Geotab also has, they want to position themselves also working with the different OEMs. So, you know, there's a question whether Geotab would be the go-between, or whether, you know, utilities be working directly with the OEMs.
but at the end of the day, it's a national issue. I mean, there's national compatibility, both across all models and across all utilities. Another question I had having to do with how this translates over the long term is, presumably you're subsidizing energy use of the people who are participating now at some cost, and I presume that is not viable in the long term, so that this incentive program must have some time limitation.
Well, the idea is that the more electric vehicles that come onto the grid that are charging during times of day when the demand is lowest will put downward pressure on rates. It will actually save ratepayers money by having more electric vehicles on the grid. And so, you know, the question is, you know, if it's totally unmanaged and there's no incentives, what is going to be the cost of having all the upgrades? And of course, ratepayers pay for all those upgrades, all the capital, you know, that you know, Con Ed earns on you know, the capital costs, and all that cost is paid for by the ratepayers. If you could avoid that that investment, and there's revenue coming in, and more revenue coming in because there's more electricity being used for transportation, and there's more revenue to support the existing infrastructure, ultimately it could, you know, either lower rates or at least keep them from not going up. So, you know,
yeah, let me stop you
we might say that we're subsidizing, but yeah.
Yeah, let me pursue that just a little bit further. So one of the impacts of PEVs is it increases the market for Con Ed electricity, increases the market size. You sell more product, so to speak, and at the same time, however, as you're pointing out, because the location of PEVs is not evenly distributed across the grid, some parts of the grid may have to be improved, and there's costs that have to be borne ultimately by the ratepayers or by PEV users or something. And I'm not quite clear at the end of the day, as uptake on PEVs continues, so there's a bigger demand for PEV energy support, and it's not evenly distributed over the grid, and therefore Con Ed has to invest here and there where people have PEVs. Who pays? Is that going to be spread across all the ratepayers, or is that cost going to be purely placed on the PEV users?
Well, like I said, the idea is that it's not going to increase rates because there's more revenue coming in to support the infrastructure. So Con Ed doesn't make its money on selling more electricity. We're decoupled.
Yep.
So some utilities do, but not Con Ed. We don't make money on selling more electricity.
But if you have to make grid improvements,
right? If the idea is a program like this that you want to avoid having to make grid improvements. So Con Ed built out its grid to support like 1 or 2 days out of the year when there's high humidity and high temperatures. So if we're able to have a program that does not contribute to that system peak, then the grid, in most cases, the grid is able to support that. I mean, there
right,
are going to be certain cases.
Down.
Yeah.
I understand. And
yeah,
so
you're basically filling in the valleys. You're basically using an underutilized assets.
Right. And so a big piece of this, a big value of the study to Con Ed or to the industry as a whole is learning about the behavior of vehicle owners, whether they're household level or fleet level and so on, and how they respond to different levels of incentives, financial incentives, which right now is in the form of actually getting payments. And you find out how much you have to pay in order to get X% of the people to shift. And so far, the curves that you showed earlier show that if you kept the program at the level where people are getting, $500 to $1,000 in effect in their pocket by shifting to after midnight peaking, that it really has a big impact on the demand and therefore on the need for Con Ed ever to have to make grid improvements. So a lot of it is sort of behavioral studies, and I guess the question I come back to again is how long can you keep paying people $500 or $1,000 a year? I mean, can that go on forever in order to control the peaking?
I can't. I'm sorry. Could you just hold 1 second? There's a lot of noise coming in back. I gotta tell somebody to shut something off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't even hear myself think with the noise in the background.
I'll just restate. I was just thinking.
Yeah, I mean,
you're paying a lot of money to people to participate in the program. If you weren't paying that, or if you're paying half as much, or whatever, would people still participate, and would you get the peak reduction that you're looking for?
That's a good question, and I think that there's a lot of other utilities that are paying different amounts. I mean, Con Ed has some of the highest rates in the country, so we pay like the 10 cents per kilowatt hour is based on the differential between a flat rate, a standard rate, and a time of use rate. So that's where we didn't come out with the 10 cents per kilowatt hour out of nowhere. It is the differential between the different rates. We probably could pay less, but other utilities choose to incentivize people to buy electric vehicles by giving them free charging stations. Say free Wi-Fi connected charging station, or they might even give rebates on purchasing. So part of this is also encouraging people to buy the electric vehicles. Will we continue to pay the 10 cents or the $150? We'll have to see in the next rate case.
It's interesting because as you mentioned, there are a variety of public policy incentives to encourage PEV use, and Con Ed and other utilities have some, but for example, the Port Authority or let's say state and local agencies in New York and other metropolitan areas, as well as there's vehicle purchase rebates. There's in some places there's HOV lane and toll exemptions, and I think that's true in the New York metro area in a few locations. Parking discounts for electric vehicles. So there's a whole family of strategies that public agencies, including regulated utilities, are employing. And I guess I don't know if anybody knows or what your perspective is as to which of those programs is likely to have the most impact.
Yeah, I think that you kind of need a little bit of everything. I think that Con Ed's putting its money. Maybe we are paying too much. It's possible. Maybe we could pay a whole lot less to get where the behavior we want. But I think that putting our money towards the behavior to the grid is, given that that's what Con Ed is. We're a electric distribution company. I think that our incentives are being placed in the right place. We have other programs like our Make Ready program, which I'm not going to be discussing today. That to help offset the costs of installing the electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So this is not the only incentives that we're providing, but what we're trying to do is to incentivize a certain behavior and to get EV owners educated. It's part of it's an education process, to get that behavior, and maybe at some point we wouldn't have to pay for that behavior.
What about, if I'm an EV owner and I'm getting this great deal, and so, or if I decide to buy an EV, I live in New York, I decide to buy an EV because I get the great deal from Con Ed. What happens when am I going to lose that great deal, a year after I buy the vehicle or 2 years after I buy the vehicle when this program ends? And there were some people going to find it more attractive to have an EV, but all of a sudden the attractiveness may be reduced. Does that happen?
Right. Well, yeah, I'm pretty confident. People love this program, so I'm pretty confident it's not going to just disappear. Will the incentives not be as rich in the future? Perhaps. I think that the cost savings, we need to lower the cost of running the program, but the way I see it is I need to lower the cost of managing the program, the costs of operating the program, not necessarily reducing the costs of the incentives. That's really where Con Ed's focus, that's what my focus is right now. How do I continue to offer these incentives without spending as much, on the implementation? of it. So that's our focus.
Okay, Sherry. So I've got a question for you then. As one of a large fleet in the New York area, we already have Geotab installed in probably about 1,500 of our vehicles. Do we need a different device to utilize this, or does the standard G9 Geotab
Yeah, the Go 9.
Fleet Karma?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Fleet Karma is working on making the Go 9 available to join this program. So sometime it's not, you can't do it like today, but I'm hoping sometime next year, maybe halfway through the year. Geotab hasn't given me any exact timeline, but that's something that we're talking about. I just had a meeting last week with the White Plains school bus project vendors, because they have an electric school bus by Lion Electric, and they have the Go 9 device in, and there's another school bus program in Brooklyn, and they're going to have the Go 9 device. So we just started these conversations within the last few weeks with Geotab, the idea of making joining the program seamless for those fleets that have the Go 9 device, because it's also it's a good way for them to market the Go 9 device. Like it's another value added to the fleets, and that's one way for us to lower the cost. If we don't have to buy any special device to give to the EV owner, you already have it factory installed, correct? I think some of them are plug in, and some of them are factory installed.
Yes, the ones in our fleet were installed by us after the fact. Either way.
Yeah, so we're hoping sometime next year you'd be able to join the program with through Fleet Karma, and it would all be seamless. So for your light duty vehicles, if that's the case, without having to put in another device, and you were charging between midnight and 8, we'd be paying you the 10 cents a kilowatt hour. We'd be paying you the $5 a month for each vehicle to participate. In the summer, we'd be paying you the $20 if you avoided charging between 2 and 6 weekdays in the afternoon. And if in the future you had the medium and heavy duty vehicles, you'd be able to earn that $250 a month incentives. Let me ask you, what charging stations do you use? Do you use like a charge point or another connected charging station?
Yes. So I forget the number of chargers we have installed, but we have standardized on the charge point level 2 chargers.
Yeah, and does each of your vehicles have a dedicated RFID card like the city does, where
yes, they do.
You're able to track each? Yeah, so the city is enrolled in Smart Charge. They also have a Geotab device installed, but the city fleet has been enrolled since September 2017.
I think we may have lost Sherry. Steve, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Well, I mean, we are coming up to time. It is unfortunate. I think we lost Sherry there, but I do appreciate everyone's time. Steve, do you have any closing points or?
Well, obviously, we've just begun to, peel away a lot of the issues. I mean, there's big issues, of course, is how important PEVs are going to be to emissions reduction overall, and all the other public programs that the state and local government and agencies are doing, kind of how this fits in, which ones is more or less important. I mean, that seems to me that's a useful discussion that maybe you might want to pursue at a later session. I mean, maybe even get somebody from, you know, Albany, somebody from City Hall, to talk about the sort of full array initiatives of initiatives that are going on. And, you know, another issue is like, you know, is geotab a monopoly? I mean, can you buy these devices from somebody else? I mean, there's a lot of things that would be fun to discuss at a subsequent session, seems to me.
Definitely, and we plan to keep this series going. We're working to have at least one a month going forward. And if anyone on the call does have any requests for things for topics, there is a survey at the end. Please put any of your potential ideas for topics on there. And thank you for everybody's time, and have a good day.
Take care.